Hello everyone, I've promised you a build with a new pack, relatively new already, with Enchanted by Nature. So here we are on one of the lots in the new world where we have a pond. And I had an idea to build kind of like a whimsical pond house for Fairy. And of course, the budget out here is gonna be non-existent because we are gonna cheat for money. I did give myself thousands millions. I'm gonna move myself somewhere away from the lot so that I'm not gonna be a problem. And let us start. I'm kind of thinking that as for this slot, we already do have a pond out here, and I don't want to remove it like completely. I want to leave it out here. So I think I'm gonna remove part of the landscaping because I don't need part of it, and I think I'm gonna be able to replicate it later back again. I'm gonna leave this side because out here I don't want to build anything, and I think I'm gonna move our lot slightly. Maybe I'm gonna rotate that. For now, I'm gonna do something like that. So what my plan was, I wanted to make like a cottage. I don't want to make it really huge. I don't want to make it really big, but I want to make it. And I think as for the cottage, we are gonna have kind of like a built-out area, and the cottage is gonna be, by the way, pretty small because my plan was to make the most part of this house a balcony. Like in this new pack, we did get quite a bit of stuff, which kind of goes well for the outdoors. So I'm thinking I'm gonna put this part on the stills and this front part too. And I'm thinking I'm gonna give us a foundation of these sorts. I'm gonna figure out colors a little bit later. And that's gonna be kind of the general shape of the house. And as for all of the railings and stuff, we are not gonna go like really difficult and stuff. We are just gonna go kind of simple. I want to make an outdoor living room out here. I think that we are gonna have a kitchen somewhere out here, a little tiny dining nook. Out here we are gonna have a bedroom, and here we are gonna have a bathroom. And as living room is outside, we pretty much do not need any space for a living room on the inside. So I think that's gonna be kind of fun. And I think I'm gonna move the house a little bit just because I want our overhanging parts to be on top of the pond. And that is because I was thinking that we do have some of this kind of staircase in the base game, and I want to make it so that it goes like right into the pond. So that's my plan. So I think now quickly I might want to replenish some of the landscaping that I did remove from the pond. And I think we might want to stick something like that somewhere near our house. I'm gonna make it a little lower because right now it's a little bit too tall. And I want to stick into this house some of the new gameplay items. So we did get apothecary table with apothecary skill, obviously. Also, we do have fairies now, so I wanted to give this house a little bit more of a whimsical kind of look. So I think that I'm gonna try and do that mostly. And as for some of the stuff around the lot, I was also thinking that we might want to include some stuff for the plantsim too. And for the plantsim, we do have this tree. If you stick out here the beans of the plantsim, you are going to be able to have a plantsim in your household. So that's the idea behind that. And I think that somewhere like around here, I'm gonna leave kind of like a pathway towards the house. And right now, my sims, of course, are not gonna be able to walk through there, but I'm gonna fix it a little later, so you will see. But they will in the end. It is gonna be possible. And if you didn't know how to do that, I'm gonna show you how. And of course, I'm gonna stick back this lock because it's a fun addition to the game. And I'm gonna stick some of these reeds everywhere around where we have got water, just because later in the game you are gonna be able to add to them some V effects. And I want these them because they add to the house. And of course, we wanna add some of this kind of stuff so that it gives a little bit more of a swampy vibes because we are living in nature, we are one with that. We kind of want to feel that, so hope that's gonna be fine. Just like that. For now, I'm gonna remove this staircase, and the way you can make this kind of pond area functional is if you go to the water, you can set to see how deep is the water. So where the water is deeper, your sims are gonna be able to clean themselves in this water. So I want to leave some of the parts out here to be like that. Also, we do have some terrain tools like this flatten to height. So by default, we have like almost height of a terrain to be like on the level where there is gonna be no water. So you see, no water here. So if I'm gonna lower it one time, and if I'm gonna do it like that, then now we have our terrain to be level with the water. If I'm gonna lower it once, our terrain is gonna be now underwater. So if I'm gonna make like a pathway with the terrain of this height everywhere, I can make a pathway which is gonna be just under the water surface. So in the game, it doesn't look like you're above the water, but you are literally going to be above the water. So your sims are going to be able to walk out here. I'm going to show it to you like in a second. And of course, to be able to wash ourselves in these waters, I'm going to make it deeper in some areas and actually like in most areas. So I want to leave only the part where I plan on my sims to walk around to be a little higher than the water surface, a little lower than the water surface. So now we have kind of like a deeper part for the water and we have a higher part for the water. Like you see when I'm using my tearing tool, I clearly see the pathway that I'm using. When I turn it off, it's not as visible anymore. So now you see my sim is going to be able to walk out here. Of course, she's a fairy, she's going to fly around everywhere, but at the same time, she's going to be able to bathe herself in the water, so that still works the way it should be. So now I'm going to cycle like nature living, that's fine, that's not what we are here for. So let us go back to the building. So the pond is pretty much ready. The only thing that we do have left to do out here for this pond is at our staircase from the house so that we are going to be able to walk down here. So now my sims are going to be able to access the house from here and from here. And now let us figure out the roof of the house because I kind of have an idea in my head. The only thing I do need to do now is bring it to life. So as for the roof, I'm not imagining anything like too difficult and new. I'm just making it like a simple cottagey styled roof. So to curve the roof the way I want to, I'm gonna click Shift and C, and now I can flip these bottom ones, make the top part of the roof a little bit more in a fairy kind of style. The same I'm gonna do for the top one, but actually I'm just gonna copy the roof that I used for the bottom part and stick it to the top. So we are gonna have a curve like that for our roof. Make it fun and curvy so that it's all nice and cozy in the house. So the house now is kind of mostly, as for the shape, is figured out. Of course, I'm gonna add some columns everywhere around here so that it makes a little bit more sense to everybody to be included, just like that. So I'm gonna add the same ones to the every single edge of the house so that it's a little bit more visible where is what. And out here I'm gonna add some. And I think that we need to check what kind of color of a foundation we're gonna use now, because now it is the perfect time for us to go and figure out how the house is gonna look. So I'm not gonna switch the color of the foundation for this part because I pretty much like the way it is. And as for the exterior walls, I wanted to use the new wall colors. So I'm gonna make most of the house, I think, these rocks. But in the same time, I was planning on using some of the new glass wall textures. And also I wanted to use something like this for our roof color, just because I like it. And maybe one of the walls. Gonna look fun. And maybe out here where we're gonna have our outdoor living room, I wanted to add a cork of this size. Like that. That's gonna be fine, I guess. And I'm gonna build ceilings for our outdoor parts so that I'm not gonna have any problems with them later. Of course, there are not going to be any problems. I just want the ceilings to be colored. And as for the flooring, so we do have this kind of wooden flooring, and I think this kind of wooden flooring is going to be absolutely perfect for a deck and for all of the roof textures in the house. And as for the outdoor part, of course, brownish green wallpaper like that. And we do need to use spandrels because the house like that without spandrels is not going to do it. It's not going to cut it. And of course, on the inside, I'm going to use all the same colors just because I want to. And as for spandrels, of course, they are going to be literally everywhere because I cannot do it otherwise. And I wanted to divide this area to be like an office area because if you're playing with the apothecary skill, you do need an office. So working with that in advance, I did need to figure out the color of the wood before I started painting everything and everywhere and sticking columns because now I do need to go around and switch it around and that's not nice. That's not exactly what we need to do. I know that the layout of the house that I'm imagining right now is not ideal because we kind of do have bathroom in the very front of our house, but I think that's not going to be a problem. And as for the bathroom, I wanted to use this smaller window that we got with the new pack just because they look cute and whimsical. I'm going to use them in literally the same swatches I'm using every other wood piece in the house. And as for the bathroom layout, you'll see a tiny little bit later. You just need to wait. I hope that's not a problem. So, for the inside, I wanted to use the new windows, these ones, because they are big and cute. And of course, they're gonna look absolutely fantastic somewhere like here in the office. Or something like this huge one in the kitchen. And yes, out here, I'm planning to have a kitchen. And the front door is gonna be out here. We have enough space to stick this one, so I'm happy for that. And this door is gonna be really nice for the bathroom. So the doors and the windows are kind of figured out, I think, so we aren't going to have any problems with that. I'm going to stick some grass texture into our bathroom with some pink flowers because I like them. And we need to switch around some of the fencing. So I'm going to just use the same fifth swatch because we are trying to use the same colors out here. But it's kind of figure out the whole layout and the main shape of the house. Now I'm going to just decorate what we're going to have on the inside. Where should I start? I think I first need to finish the outside. That's gonna be kind of logical thing to do. So we got some of these like new flower boxes for our exterior stuff, and they are supposed to go somehow like that. And I was thinking that I might want to use some of the wall decor that we got with the new pack because most of the plants that we got are out here in the interior decor category. So what I'm thinking, of course, this line is to go on top of this big window where our living room is gonna be. I think I'm gonna try and stick a bottom one too right away, but I'm not sure that it is gonna stay out there. I'm gonna stick a line so as if it's growing from this grass patch up there, but I'm not sure that I'm gonna leave it like that. And I'm just gonna for now decor only the parts which is on the exterior of the house because the parts on the interior are gonna get figured out a little later. And by the way, we now can stick plants on top of our roofs. And I wanted to use also these dormers for this house because, you know, we are building a fairy house. So we might as well. I'm gonna turn it off at 5 just to be able to stick them a little easier. I'm gonna imagine that we are gonna have a fireplace, but we are not because we did not plan on that. And I'm thinking that mostly all other stuff I'm gonna stick around everywhere on top of our roof is gonna be just plants because we are not planning on using anything all too much. And I'm not gonna stick a lot of them because, of course, I'm planning on using matching roof texture. I hope that's not gonna be a problem. Or should I give it a wood fairy texture? Maybe I should use dark grass, and that's gonna look better. I kind of like the way this looks a little better. That looks a little bit more whimsical to me. Just like that. That's what we are gonna have apparently. Change my mind, that's what I'm gonna say. And as for the plants, we by the way did get some of the plants that we have on the roof also available to stick onto the floor. So I'm gonna stick a couple of these ones just to the side so that maybe we're gonna imagine that out here around we're gonna have our tiny little garden. That's gonna be kind of fun to have, I guess. As for the outside sculptures, we did get some of the fairy gnomes, so I'm gonna stick them, all of them. Gnome Dolph needs to go here. So, of course, not where he's gonna be floating, but I'm gonna imagine that my gnomes are gathering these plants. So that's what we're gonna have as for the main idea for the exterior. Now let's go inside. So for the inside, lights are gonna be a priority, of course. We did get this kind of light. I wanted to stick it out here just because I was imagining that up here on this light we're gonna be able to stick an apothecary table. Somewhere up here we're gonna have an office, and I'm imagining that out here we're gonna have bathroom where we're gonna have different kind of lighting, and this kind of light can go really well on top of our dining table, which can go really well right underneath here. And in the bedroom, I don't think that we're going to use quite a bit of light. So the layout, we did get these beds in this pack, so I think I'm gonna stick it in the swatch that's gonna match with the wood, and that is this beautiful green swatch, which I really like. On one side of the bed, I really do want to stick a side table. This one, I think I'm gonna use it here a lot because it's the only side table in the new pack, and this bookshelf on the other side. That was my idea. Also, I thought about sticking for the privacy these bookshelf up here, but then I was thinking that it kind of doesn't really fit in the short wall height, so I think it's not for here, unfortunately. So instead of it, I might stick out here a bench so that we just gonna have that. Also, we did get a rug in the new pack, so I think that we might figure out some sort of fun use for that. Like it has some cute swatches, so it can go really well up here. And I think that the second one can go really well underneath our outside living room. That's gonna be out here. I'm gonna stick it in this unicorn one. As for the bathroom, I was thinking of using this grass instead of bathroom rugs. And as for our living room, one, of course, is gonna go somewhere underneath our office area, and the other one I can make significantly bigger and stick it in the main area of the house where we are going to have our dining area. Just make it fairy, make it green, make it cute, make it nice. And now I think I'm going to stick all of the stuff that kind of go with new pack. So I not forget to use that. So of course the paddle sink is going to go to the bathroom. Also in the bathroom we are going to have this side tap and this new toilet just for the fun of it, kind of like a mossy toilet. Who wouldn't like that? I think a lot of people wouldn't like that, but I'm gonna stick it out here anyways. Also, I would think that we might want to have a couple of mirrors in our bathroom because I want to make our bathroom cute and whimsical, and that's gonna probably look a little bit weird. You're gonna see. I had an idea. So we do have these mushrooms. I think one is gonna go perfectly up here, the other one on the other side. As for this side of the bathroom, we do have some of the decor. So I was thinking that I might kind of try and continue all of this overgrown thing that we do have outside, but in the bathroom, just like that. I've tried it already, by the way. It does work. It does function. It looks a little weird in some areas, but it works. Out here, I'm gonna leave a tiny little nook for us to be able to stick something like toilet paper just out here. Now the bathroom is a little bit more fun, isn't it? And also, as for the lights, I was hoping to be able to go mostly with these lights. If they're gonna intertwine a little bit, I'm not gonna bother with fixing that because I think that that's what is gonna give our bathroom all that nice and cute and whimsical look. So that's gonna be the majority of the bathroom. I'm gonna switch around some colors a little bit later just because I don't want to do it now, but I'm gonna do it. By the way, as for the outdoor light, I wanted to stick one out here so that right next to the door we are gonna have something. And by the way, we do have a mailbox already on this slot which can go perfectly up here. Now it's fun. And as for all of those shells that I did stick out here, I was thinking that we might stick an acorn up here, and I was hoping to be able to stick some of the tiny little decor that we did get with the new pack, like some tiny little plants. Also, we did get some of the alive plants, and I think that we are gonna have quite a bit of them in here too. Of course, not all of the plants that I'm gonna stick everywhere around are gonna be alive because that's not what we are going here for. Because it's a little high maintenance to have alive plants literally everywhere in the game. So just in some areas. I'm gonna recolor the lighting in the bathroom a little later. As for now, I think I'm gonna go for the stuff for the kitchen because as for the kitchen, I think we might want to use this set of stove and a fridge. That's a little dangerous, but I think that hope that's not going to be a problem. Also, I want to stick, of course, an alarm, a fire alarm, and of course, we want to know if somebody like a thief is going to come over to our house because we don't want anything to be stolen. Things are kind of expensive out here. As for the chairs, we did get new chairs, but I want to use these ones. They are smaller ones, but they look kind of cute. I hope it's not going to be a problem. Also, I wanted to stick another alive plant on top of here, so I think, who are we going to stick out here? Maybe a fern. Gonna look cute in a simple green swatch. Also, up here on this shelf can fit a live plant as well. So I want to stick out there a pothos because I like these kind of plants. I have two myself. Highly recommend for everybody who wants them. And I wanted to stick a desk. And as for the desk, we did get this new desk with a pack. It comes in all the same swatches as all of these like cute and whimsical stuff out here, so that's fun. But we did not get a new computer, unfortunately. And if I would play with Cottage Living right now, I would stick out there a typing machine from Cottage Living, but we are not playing with Cottage Living, so I'm sticking just a simple computer. As for a chair for our desk, I want to stick this one. That looks weird, but I love that. And as for the shelves, I wanted to stick this shelf up here in the corner carefully so that it doesn't clip. And I think that we might want to stick a couple more alive plants on top of it. Maybe one in the square pot and the other one in this round one. I'm gonna make them different colors. And as for the plants, I think we might want to get maybe a ficus. I'm gonna stick a plain green one because I have like one like that in my real life. And as we did have a bright kind of like pothos out there, I think out here I'm gonna stick just a simple golden one. And that the majority of our office kind of done. I just want to stick around some more tiny decor items which I did not yet use anywhere. We can stick a tiny door out here. That's weird, but we can. A gnome photo on top of here. Clips, unfortunately, but if I'm gonna rotate it, it's not gonna be that visible. Of course, we can stick a fairy frizzy bunny, but I think it's gonna be a little better to have on top of our bookshelf. Pink one, of course. I think I'm gonna stick some more of these tiny little plants everywhere around. I was also thinking of using this mirror somewhere, and I think that is going to be the perfect area to use it. Of course, it's a little bit creepy, like, you're working and you see yourself, but, I would get scared because I don't like looking at myself, at least having myself inside somewhere on the side of my eye because that's a little weird sometimes. And I had not found an area to use this thing yet, so I think we might as well just try and stick it somewhere like right by the entryway. I think out here we are going to be able to make another green wall. That's not going to be a problem. At least it shouldn't be. So if I'm going to stick like something like that underneath that, maybe something like that on top of it. So that's gonna look like nice and cute, but in the same not overwhelming as it sometimes can look. This way we are kind of connecting this vine from the fence to this one. And by the way, if you have a pack where you have a shower, you're gonna be like just a standalone shower, which doesn't require the whole tile. You're gonna be able to use it like in these walls too, and that's still gonna be functional. What else I wanted to stick out here in this house is I wanted to stick a trash can out here in the entryway so that we just have that and it's not going to be as sad and boring as it might be. And more vines up here. And I think another mushroom shelf because these are adorable. Like, who wouldn't like that? Of course, I wouldn't like to see anything like that in my real life house because, mushrooms in the house kind of doesn't look that healthy. And I think I'm gonna give them not that like plain swatch, but this glowing one just because it looks a little bit more weird, and that's exactly what we want here. And as for lights, I wanted to stick this mushroom light somewhere on our side table so that just shining out there. Another acorn in the kitchen, I think. I think mushrooms on top of the fridge I'm gonna leave empty so that they're just giving you space to have something. Or no, I'm not gonna leave them empty because your Sims will really want to stick on top of them something like plates, and that's gonna be really annoying. So maybe some napkins, cookie jar, a phone. Like, if you're a fairy, you're not gonna have any problem to just swing up there and answer the phone. Maybe on the last one, I'm just gonna stick a tiny little plant that's gonna be on the lower side, so it's not gonna intercept with anything like that. Of course, it's gonna look a little silly like that because you see acorn is kind of flipping, the phone is kind of flipping, cookie jar is flipping. Actually, I'm just gonna switch it around like that. So the top mushrooms are gonna be empty, but the bottom ones are not. Nice as for me. And I think that mostly that's gonna mean that majority of the interior of our house is done. That was quick. Another one of these lines up here. Like, we do kind of aspire to give this house an overgrown kind of vibe. I hope it's not a problem. I kind of want to make an illusion of us being able at least to cover some of these curtains, but these curtains look a little bit too plain, and the curtains that we do have in the pack do not match. So maybe I'm gonna make it like that, and I'm gonna stick some of the shelves on top just to give us an illusion that we do have a railing out there so that we are at least able to cover our sleeping area. And that's actually mostly it for interior of our house. Mostly. I did not finish decorating our office area, so I might come back. I think this tiny little plant is gonna be the one thing that I'm gonna use the most from the new pack, just because it's versatile and it fits everywhere. So of course I am. Of course I am. I've used it 3 times in this corner. So that's the inside. Now as for the outside, it's not gonna be that difficult. So apothecary table, that's a necessity as for me. So I'm gonna stick one right up here against these plants. I think I'm gonna use a different kind of fencing on this side of our table so that these plants are not gonna be a problem out here. So I'm gonna make it like that so it's not that busy. As for our living room furniture, we did get this couch. I really love this blue and green swatch. It's absolutely beautiful and it's my favorite. Out here, I'm gonna stick another one of these side tables. And out here on this side, I'm gonna stick armchair, and also we do have a coffee table out here. I hope it is gonna be functional. It should be. It might not be. Out here we are gonna stick another indoor plant, and out here too. I just like them, so we might as well have them. I'm gonna stick out here another one of our garden gnomes so that you might bring them back to life. Also out here I would like to stick a stereo so that you have something to do out here and not just stand and do nothing. I think I'm gonna stick some of the decorative, just decorative plants which are not requiring any care for them. And I think I'm gonna mostly go for base game because out here we don't need all that much stuff anymore. Some more books, another cookie jar, like we might want to enjoy some cookies outside. And as we are living in a fairy world, I'm gonna stick a fairy house, a couple of them. One up here, I think, and the other one up here on our patio, so that's lake house for a fairy, something like that. I also wanted to stick up here a telescope so that we just have that so you can use it sometimes. So it's a little bit more fun looking stuff. And by the way, nature in this area of this world is kind of forgiving, so you can have quite a bit of stuff outside. So that must be nice. Also, I think that I might stick some of the gardening pots everywhere around the house so that we just have them, because for the apothecary skill you don't need to grow like necessarily quite a bit of stuff, but it's nice to have stuff to grow. So I'm gonna stick it out here anyway. And some more plants on the outside, maybe more of these vines on the window so that they are just kind of giving us some light, but they are not looking all that overwhelming. And that's pretty much it for the house itself. I think I'm just gonna stick some more gardening pots like everywhere around the house so that your Sims are gonna be able to grow more plants everywhere around. I think that we might even have some sort of a tiny little like secret garden area out here. But of course it's not gonna be that secret because you can see that literally right now. And the only thing that I have left to do now is add some terrain paint and maybe adjust the lighting for the house. So as for the lighting, what I wanted to do is all of these lights, I wanted to switch around the color to the pink one and make it lower so that it's not as bright, it's not as like blinding as it was by default. And I hope that you're gonna appreciate it. Like you see, right now I've made the light a little lower, so now in nighttime the house itself is going to look a little bit more like mysterious. Of course, it's not going to be as bright, and it's going to be maybe annoying sometimes if you're playing like in high light conditions when it's pretty bright outside. But I hope it's not going to be a problem. I really do hope so. And by the way, I've completely missed this light, and I think it's going to be really good somewhere near our entryway or in our garden areas. And another acorn is going to go out here in our area, and I think I'm just going to readjust the lights again so it's not as bright. And the only thing that I have left to do now is some terrain paint. And I think I'm going to give us a third fairy house out here under the tree, so it's a little nicer to go out here. Of course I could have stick out their swing sets that we did get with the new pack. This one, it's absolutely beautiful. I absolutely love the way it looks, but we do have a similar one in the neighborhood up here, so I'm not gonna do it here. I think it's gonna be a little bit more practical if I'm gonna leave some part of the lot a little empty. And of course this house is not a starter home, it's 50,000 simoleons because landscaping is expensive in The Sims, and I did buy real landscaping this time, so it is pretty much expensive. I'm gonna stick some more of the plants just to add some variety to our plant area, and I think that I'm gonna wrap it up slowly, or maybe not so slowly. So as for the pathways, I want to add the pathways which are gonna look a little rocky, stony, so I'm gonna just make it like that. So that's our little garden area out here. As for the area where we are going to have our pathways under the pond, I'm going to stick some rocks out there too. I hope I did get to all of them properly. And as for the area where we have our house entrance, I'm going to just do it like that so that it's kind of like losing its health maybe in the process, but you know, it's still here. Maybe it's gonna go to the dirt because the dirt path kind of looks a little bit more fitting for the fairy house, I think. And also I'm gonna add some dirt underneath this tree because if you're gonna play with the plant sims out there, out here where this tree is, you're gonna be able to get some forbidden fruits, and that's a nice part of the gameplay for this whole pack. So I'm kind of excited to play with fairies. I think that I'm gonna try a little bit more of my gameplay with fairies in my legacy challenge just because I did not have a chance to play with that yet. I'm sorry, I know that I'm posting videos not as regularly as maybe you would like to. I would like to post videos more regularly too, so. And I think we can make some sort of like a windy path everywhere around here so that it's kind of connecting everything out here. Just like that. So that the house now should kind of be done. So I'm gonna see again how it looks in different lights. And I do like the way it looks in this moody lighting, but I think I'm gonna make it a little bit brighter because as for now it's a little bit too deep for my liking. So let's see again. That's a little better. So that actually is the house. So this is the house. So what do we have here? We have a pond, which was out here by default. I just rotated it a little bit, so it's a little bit more convenient for me to stick a house out here. What I forgot about, privacy tree. So much better now. So we do not see our porch out here on the front right away. And what I also forgot about, stair railings. We got some with a new pack and I completely forgot to use. So what do we have here? I did build a fairy house. So out here we have a tree to be able to play with the plant sims. So if you're going to collect all of the beans, all of the emotion beans, all 6 of them, you're going to be able to get a tree which will give you forbidden fruits for your sims to be able to be plant sims. So that's what we have here. As for the house itself, the house is a little bit weird looking, but it's kind of like, you know, greenhouse, outdoor living vibes out here. So what we've got? Out here we have a tiny little pathway, like kind of blurred a little bit, going towards these ponds. In the pond, you're going to be able to wash yourself. Also, if you're going to stock fish, you're going to be able to fish out here. Everywhere around the house, we can garden. We have a couple of fairy houses, one up here, one out here, one up here, so you can have some fun out here. We also do have some garden gnomes. We have some plants on top of our roofs. We have some plants everywhere around the house. If you go up these stairs, up here we do have an area of a porch. So on a porch we do have a living room. Out here you can listen to the music, you can have parties in your fairy house, you can take care of some of the plants, you can study apothecary skill, you can also watch the stars or the sun. Or if you go inside, out here we have a kitchen. It's pretty simple with some tiny little clutter. Also we do have a dining area. We do have a bedroom out here with some more alive plants, with some more different decor. We also do have a bookshelf up here. We have a computer area up here. Also we do have some shelves, some decor area around here. And we do have a bathroom. The bathroom is one of the bigger rooms in the house, unfortunately, but maybe fortunately, it's a nice bathroom. Out here we have this rock tub. Also, we have out here this toilet. We have a mirror, another mirror. We have some mushrooms. We have some plants everywhere around. So it's a big and nice house. Not too big, but it's a nice house to live when you're beginning playing with the pack. Of course, it's not the starter home because it's kind of expensive. The stuff in this pack is not the cheap as I would probably like to. Now I think I'm gonna go back to the game. I'm gonna make a tiny little screenshot of this house. And I think I'm gonna pause this house in gallery. So I call this house a fairy lake house. It has only one bedroom, one bathroom, and it's just a fairy lake house. So now your fairy can bond with nature and not without any access to the comfort. And what I like about this slot, by the way, you live in this fairy neighborhood. So you're going to be able to collect this fairy dust ration. You're going to be able to collect some of the collectibles like ball motions. Also, there is these lighting plants, also these and paddles. So you're going to be able to study apothecary skill out here literally in no time. We even have an apothecary table out here in the neighborhood. So everything is kind of done perfectly up here. So I think that this house is gonna look kind of nice as for this neighborhood to play in. So I think it kind of matches into the vibe everywhere around here. And I want to hope that you would agree with me that this cottage kind of fits in. So I think right now, as I did post this house in gallery, all of the info about this house is going to be in the description to this video. I'm going to thank you for watching. And if you like videos like that, you can subscribe to my channel. And I think that this should probably be a goodbye. So, bye guys.